Today, I bring you a moment that made millions on the internet stop and pay attention. When Clint Eastwood sat down with a liberal journalist, many thought it would be just another interview. But what happened was something much bigger. The host was about to make a career-defining mistake. She believed she had everything under control, that Clint would be an easy target, an outdated old man she could embarrass in front of the audience. What she didn't understand was that Clint wasn't just any guest. He was a man who had spent decades ignoring criticism and standing firm under pressure. What followed wasn't just a response. It was a lesson in character, intelligence, and why old-school values still matter. The cameras were ready. The lights shone brightly, reflecting off the glass table between them. The audience murmured, some adjusting their phones, ready to capture any viral moment. The Truth with Jessica Lange was one of the most watched shows in the US, famous for its confrontations. Jessica, a blonde woman in her early 30s, had built her career on sharp questions and an unfiltered style. Her specialty? Making guests with old-fashioned views look ridiculous. That night, her guest was Clint Eastwood. At 94 years old, the cinema legend and symbol of classic masculinity wasn't there to promote a film. He was there to talk about the modern world, the changes in the industry, and what it means to be a man today. For Jessica, this was a golden opportunity. She wanted to use Clint as an example of someone stuck in the past. The tension in the room was palpable. Everyone felt something big was about to happen. Jessica smiled warmly, just enough to lower his guard. "It's truly an honor to have you here, Clint," she said, crossing her legs naturally. "A pleasure to be here," Clint replied with his signature raspy voice, calm and relaxed. Jessica started with the basics. "You've had a legendary career. Actor, director, producer. You've given us iconic films, Dirty Harry, Unforgiven, Gran Torino." But then came the twist. Jessica leaned in, her smile tightening. "Let's be honest, Clint," she teased, her voice playful but predatory. "Men like you are a dying breed." A murmur spread through the audience. Some smiled knowingly, others exchanged glances. Jessica pressed on. "You've built your career playing tough men, men who don't apologize, who take control. Let's say it's not exactly the kind of masculinity celebrated today. Do you think Hollywood has moved past that? Isn't it time to leave those ideas behind?" The audience chuckled, sensing the tension. But Clint didn't flinch. Instead, he smiled, a shift in the air. The room fell quiet. Clint leaned back, took a slow sip of water, and placed the glass down calmly. His voice, low but firm, broke the silence. "So believing in determination, discipline, and responsibility makes me outdated." His words hit like a hammer. The audience shifted, uncomfortable. Jessica's smile faltered briefly. She recovered quickly, laughing lightly, as if Clint had proven her point. "Come on, Clint," she said, turning to the audience with a confident smirk. "Your whole career, you've played tough guys with guns, solving problems with fists, weapons, brute force." The crowd chuckled, entertained. Jessica continued, her voice persuasive. "Don't you think we need a new kind of hero, one who doesn't rely on toxic masculinity to solve problems?" Some in the audience laughed louder, eager to see Clint stumble. But Clint didn't bite. He let Jessica's words hang in the air before speaking, his voice steady and sharp. "Let me ask you something, sweetheart," he said, leaning forward, elbows on his knees. "If someone breaks into your home tonight, do you want a poet or a protector?" The studio froze. Some gasped. A few even clapped. Jessica blinked, a flicker of hesitation caught by the cameras. She quickly dismissed it with a chuckle. "That's a false equivalence, Clint," she replied, her voice firm but less certain. "Society isn't an old Western." But the audience wasn't laughing with her anymore. Some shifted uncomfortably. Others folded their arms, thoughtful. Clint's smile was faint but resolute. "Look at you," he said evenly. sitting here perfectly safe in your studio because tough people built this country and keep it standing." Jessica's smile tightened. The audience murmured, some nodding silently. She shuffled her cards, searching for a new angle, but the momentum was gone. Clint wasn't on the defensive. He was leading, and everyone felt it. Jessica tried one last play. "Look, Clint," she began, her tone light but condescending. "I respect your career, truly. But don't you think it's time to step aside? Maybe let the new generation lead?" The audience laughed nervously. They sensed it. This wasn't a debate anymore. It was a jab wrapped as a joke. Clint's slow, confident smile returned. "Funny," he said calmly. "I remember when people respected their elders instead of trying to replace them." The crowd erupted. Jessica's smile faded, too late to hide. Clint leaned slightly forward, his eyes steady. "Wisdom doesn't expire, sweetheart," he said. "Only those who think they know everything ignore it." Gasps. Applause. The energy shifted completely. Jessica opened her mouth, searching for a comeback, but found none. The cameras captured it all. The internet decided instantly. Clint had won. By morning, the headlines blazed. "Clint Eastwood School's woke host in brutal interview. You can't cancel a legend. You can only remember why we respect them." Some defended Jessica, claiming she was unfairly attacked online. But the public had already spoken. Inside the network, panic spread. PR teams scrambled to spin the narrative. The official statement read, "We respect Mr. Eastwood's career and perspectives. We value conversations that reflect progress and inclusion." Translation? They lost. The debate wasn't Jessica versus Clint anymore. It was about something bigger. Are old school values truly outdated, or are they more necessary than ever? A week later, a journalist found Clint outside a cafe in Carmel, California. "Mr. Eastwood, any comments on the viral interview?" Clint adjusted his jacket, sipped his coffee, and smiled sideways. "No." Then he walked away, because real legends don't argue online. They just stand firm. And sometimes that's all it takes to remind the world why strength, wisdom, and integrity always matter. But tell me, what do you think? Is the old school truly dead, or does it still matter today? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more powerful stories, subscribe. Daily videos you won't want to miss. Take care.